everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back if this is your ninth High School Musical, the series, Season 2 episode review. This time last season, this would have been the penultimate review. Now we still got 3 more episodes, so I'm like, dope. We're closing in on the finish, and this episode... I am so confused now because this definitely felt like a COVID episode. This was filmed in response to COVID. So I'm starting to think, did they rewrite the entire final part because of COVID, or just was because just for the safety of things? I really don't know what's going on. I really don't know. This definitely felt like a COVID response episode. Even Miss Jen's opening line was kind of like, okay, they are kind of referring to COVID, but they're writing it off in a different way, which... I do understand. It's just so weird because, like, from when I was reading the information about this season, that I thought that, like, they were in 2-3 episodes and then COVID hit and then they had to get shut down. But then I really don't know. It's just so weird to have a COVID relation video this late in the game. But whatever. I think this was a very interesting episode. This definitely fell a little bit after last week's phenomenal episode. I will say that much. It definitely, like, again, the separation of the cast members definitely did help paint a different type of story. This definitely felt like a much more isolated story. Not really much of a progressive episode per se for every character, but it definitely was kind of like a little bit of like, here's a little bit of a breather. Let's, kind of relax a little bit. We're still continuing on a little bit, but this is kind of like after last week's just like banger after banger after banger. It's just like, here's a little bit of a break, because even before them we had the dance off. So this was all kind of like just a breath of fresh air. And while I did enjoy it a lot, I definitely felt like this was a step down from last week's episode. But anyway, without that being said, let's go through the Butcher's Recap and talk about this week's episode of High School Musical. So we begin with the... I watched like this beginning of this year. I watched another channel I follow. They did something similar to this for their big update video for the year, where it's like the episode starts off with like a Zoom call or this universe's version of a Zoom call, and just see Miss Jen trying to like and playing around with the settings of being like, oh, here's a teacher, here's all the teachers that were teaching during quarantine or during the lockdown, which is like this scene was a perfect representation of it. Really was. And one by one, we get to see all of our fellow Wildcats popping in. They're in, for starters, the reason why they're doing this kind of like Zoom call thing in reference to COVID Zoom calling was because they're on spring break, and a lot of everyone is kind of like doing their own thing. Some are staying at home, some are working, some are just traveling out of state. So they're all separated right now. They all physically are not in the same room this episode, and it actually makes for quite a little bit of a funny banter for everyone. Nini and Miss Jen did definitely have like a little moment before everyone else joined in, where Miss Jen was being honest about, hey, how are you doing? How's your spring break going? And Nini just said, well, I'm just working on my music channel. That's all I'm doing right now. And obviously just trying to keep on down low that her and Ricky did break up. So not everyone knows about it just quite yet. Everyone's kind of like they'll know when they know, that sort of thing. Everyone just kind of pops in slowly. The only thing of note is that Carlos is all the way in the Hamptons or the Bahamas with his family, so he's not even in the same time zone as them. He did invite Seb to come along with them, which is like, that's kind of really nice for like the family of your partner to literally invite you not long into dating, like, hey, do you want to go on a tropical resort that probably will cost you hundreds of dollars? But however, he declines because he has to take care of a calf's birth. I don't know what the terminology is. I really don't know. Ashley and EJ are together in the same house because both of their families are currently out of state. So they say, hey, you know what? Let's just have you two watch this house just to make sure everything's fine. Don't worry about it. So they're together. Courtney and both Big Red are just at work this week. They're not really doing much. And so... and where's Ricky, of course? Actually, I forgot. Last one to join it was Gina, who is currently about to travel to Louisiana to join her mother for a spring break vacation. But her flight got delayed, so that's the only reason why she could even make the Zoom call. As for Ricky, he's taking a sabbatical in terms from the group this week since he's off in Chicago visiting his mom, and also after the breakup with Nini. He definitely needs a break from like everyone and just seeing Nini's face for a while, because it makes sense. Like, despite how the way they broke up in a matter of speaking, it definitely still painted like he needs some time away from her. and also everyone else, because he doesn't know how to react yet, since the whole reason he did the musical stuff was for Nini. So kind of go like he's gonna go back to the musical part. He has to, but he needs a little bit of time before he gets to be able to step back in a little bit. Uh, Obviously, Miss Jen just gives him a notice that, hey, the play is soon, and sadly we have to take a week off of school right now to kind of just rest and recuperate. But as soon as we come back, it's a full speed ahead towards the finish line to performing. Apparently, the performance is in 3 weeks, and to be honest, we have yet to see a single rehearsal out of them. So, are they really ready for the Menkeys? I highly doubt it, but we'll see how it goes. To be honest with you, Miss Jen kind of like is like the person who's like really over. Hey, look, I know you're all gonna have fun, but like I'm here. I'm still at the school, being unpaid. But if you need me, I'm here. But everyone just walks off because no one wants to be the one who stays around for talking with the teacher. So everyone's got their own storylines going on this week. Like there's a singular storyline going on, like a very loose one, but mostly every character is kind of doing their own thing. So, I'll get to the main through line in a second, but mostly the bigger storylines this week were for Gina and both Nini and it went from Gina to Ricky to then Nini, and then everyone else kind of just like followed in line a little bit. They were kind of just supporting characters this week. For Gina, mostly, this was kind of like a very interesting episode for her, since she's stuck in the airport. She's trying to get out of it, but she's clearly bored, and because of her very weird social skills, she doesn't want to contact anyone right now. She just wants to be alone. Even when she's doing like the oh yeah, I forgot, she does. Is that to play a little game called Two Truths and a Lie, which I've seen a lot of lately. Don't know where the trend started, but during the scene we get a little bit more. It's another bonding exercise between them, mostly for Gina. As again, I think we've seen this before. I've even heard of this during the show, but she's never had a first kiss. She hasn't been kissed yet because she's never been trying to romantically pursue someone. Because similar to Gabriella from the movies, she's always been on the move, so it's kind of hard to forge those real connections. And they just continue talking for there. This is where the main through line storyline goes for in, but we'll get back to that in a moment. For Nini, she's accepting the fact that her music channel is blowing up. It's great. She's getting more followers. She's riding that initial high. The problem is she's supposed to be developing new music right now to kind of keep that high going, keeping that level of engagement up. Problem is she has no ideas. Even breaking up from Ricky, there is no like inspiration coming through. Because for us, we always assume that, oh, because of Ricky, that's her block. But now that they're kind of broken up, she still has a block. So definitely something's at play here. Something more deeper is happening, but we don't know about that just quite yet. As for Ricky, he's playing the hermit after the breakup. Definitely him going to Chicago was a perfect excuse to kind of get away from it all, kind of recover, and just kind of like figure out what's going on, what's his next play. His mom tries to comfort him, but he's not really ready to open up just quite yet, nor even leave his room to go explore Chicago, which I honestly want to go to someday. I really do. A friend of mine recently went, my mic still on. A friend of mine went, I think, a couple of months before COVID hit, and she said it was a really amazing experience, so I can't wait to go someday. But regardless of that, Ricky's just not ready to open up yet, and he's not really sure what to do next, so to speak. But the main through line is that at some point during, a little bit later on, Nene gets into a FaceTime call with Courtney, and they discovered that North High has posted kind of like a smirk video, a video that's basically destroying their reputation, where they're using the fact that East High is on vacation right now, so to promote that, hey, North High is not on vacation, we're actually doing a field trip right now on theater, so we're improving our game so that when we get to go back on stage and perform, we can be even more amazing than them. And they're using their social media accounts and all that sort of kind of like paint this picture of like, they're not doing anything right now. What makes you think they're going to put any more work into their play than us? So they're not happy at all. Miss Jen calls in an emergency Zoom meeting. And this time, again, sans Ricky and now Gina, because she's all flirting with Ashton and Angel over there. They're trying to figure out, okay, we need to find some way to appropriately respond to them. Nothing that stoops to their level, but also at the same time proves to them that, hey, we still count. We still are a major force at play here. And obviously everyone just assumes, okay, Nene's got to write a song again. That's the solution. It's going to get a little bit old because like their solution, like, Nene's going to write a song. And honestly, that's kind of the same with High School Musical, the movies, because usually the next problem or the next revelation is when Kelsey writes a song. So I really can't say much there, but with a TV show, you're getting that more constantly than in 3 movies. So YOLO. So from there, Nene gets to a solo chat with Ashley and technically EJ, but even when those two are talking, they're getting some ideas here, but Nene is being a little bit more open up that she's been stuck in a writer's block for a while, and it's good to collaborate on this because now she's not the only one being pressured to write the song. Ashley does kind of ask her, like, hey, how you feeling after the breakup? Because, kind of a big deal right now, but Nene's just trying to, like, wipe it under the rug a little bit. Like, she's not really ready to talk about it fully yet with anyone, even Courtney, I'm assuming. But it is something that's still in the back of her mind, but she's just trying to, like, move forward and put her mind into something else before going back to that well and, desperation. Eventually they got an idea and they start hitting up people to get their voices in this, literally and figuratively. Meanwhile, back in Chicago, Ricky is talking to his mom finally about everything and, catching her up on everything that they've been through this season and all that sort. And I believe it's a 2-part conversation, I believe. And it mainly boils down to the mom basically saying, look, this is part of life. Change is necessary. Change is going to be a natural occurrence in your lives, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's a good thing. Because, again, like I said last week, like, hopefully down the line, them changing will be for the better, and it will make them, when they come back together, even a much more stronger couple. But in the moment, like, they have to do this. They have to grow and mature and evolve to the next stage of their lives. Even if Ricky says, like, yeah, but I hate change right now. Like, you guys divorced. You're, like, all the way on, like, the halfway across the country. And all those things are true. But at the same time, like, they're necessary. Those have to happen. Because they're going to make Ricky different and make him better. So that's kind of the same thing here with his breakup with Nene. And also, again, she basically boils it down to find something else to put your time in. Because the more you focus on something else and focus on that instead of walling over Nene, the faster and the better you're going to be in the long run. Also, I'm really loving this jasmine tea right now. I don't know why my mouth's just craving it. I'm sorry, so if I keep sipping on it. Okay, that's enough. Oh, okay, that's actually burning my phone right now. Um, so I believe, was there anything else of note that happens? Um, yeah, this is where Gina gets inserted in with like her request to kind of like perform some dances for this supposed song attack. I'm gonna call it a song attack. The song attack. So anyway, later on, Ricky does kind of have an idea to like for himself to go into music as well, kind of like brainstorming some ideas. He also catches up on some texts he was missing during his time away. One from Big Red, which apparently is their finished music video, which was fairly quick. I mean, they wrote, filmed, edited, and released a music video in the same day. I mean, and this is kind of like the best that quarantine had to offer. This was like definitely a representation of that. But it was a really cool music video. Definitely considering the limitations they had, it really worked out. It kind of made Ricky feel a little bit left out as well because he should have been there. He wasn't because but it definitely made him feel left out and excluded right now. But yeah, so that kind of just motivates him to like continue into his own songwriting, and he does come up with with something pretty solid, substantial for a little bit. Even his mom overhears, and it gets a little bit teared that he's starting to get there. He's beginning to make some steps to get better. Meanwhile, back at the airport, Gina kind of just comes to the revelation that like, yeah, her plane's never gonna fucking happen. She's gonna stay home. Screw this. She even posts on social that she's not gonna go anywhere, and she's just gonna go back to Ashley's house and just stay spring break over there. And there's kind of like a sweet moment between her and Ashton's character where like, yeah, this was just like a weird like, hey, we met at an airport terminal, we kind of connected a little bit, but where do we go from here? Because an airport terminal is a weird place to meet someone because you really never know where they're coming from. Sure, they might be in the same state as you, but doesn't mean they're in the same town, the same city, the same distance from you. So you kind of have to be very careful there. And even she admits that, and and she basically like the way they were leading to this conversation. I was thinking more like she's gonna give him the first kiss. She's gonna give him to him. But the more the conversation progresses, like no, she's still saying like if I want my first kiss to be with someone that's gonna stay for me and be around, not just someone who's gonna be there for me but then leave the next moment because like just for the sake of having your first kiss. So I get that completely. I really do. So they leave it on amicable note. No social media exchange, nothing. This is like a special airport moment that we will forever cherish in each other's memory, and then we will never see each other again. Who knows? Eventually, a little bit later, she's about to head back down to the terminal, not terminal, the drop-off zone where EJ arrives out of nowhere. They're hand in hand with a granola bar, with the car ready to go to kind of like take her home. And Gina's words from a moment ago about having someone be there for her and having someone, care for her is very much true there. And definitely she started to like really see like maybe EJ does like me after all. But we don't know what really happens next because that's the end of the episode. So with that being said, I really did enjoy this episode. It was definitely a little bit of a step down. The weird COVID quarantine response style to this episode hindered it a little bit. It was an interesting approach, but like everything, sometimes these interesting approaches don't always mean this is a great episode. This was still a good episode. I will say that. It's a good episode. It just was very slow, which was necessary, but after seeing the dance off and then last week's episode, it definitely put me into the mood of like, hey, we're gonna do this like this more accelerated thing, and like we're gonna expect something pretty huge coming out this week, which we didn't. It was still more small baby steps towards the bigger thing, the bigger picture, but but either way, I still really enjoyed this episode. I really did. I'll give this episode about 1 3/4 thumbs up. What more can I say? Let me know in the comments below. What did you think of this week's episode of High School Musical, the music of the series? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you? Let me know in the comments. I'm always down for conversation down below, as every one of you know. And I think that's going to do it for me this week, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the second season of High School Musical, the series. If you want to know what we're doing overall on What's in the Tube besides our HSM TMTS reviews, we're doing Walker episode reviews each and every Friday mornings after a brand new episode on Thursday nights on the CW or free the next day on the CW app. We are back this week with another episode. However, just to give you a heads up, next week I'm off at a wedding on Thursday. So what does that do for Walker? we're pushing everything back a day because there's literally nothing I can do. But I'm not coming home until very late at night. Everyone will be sleeping by then. I will probably be dead tired, so that is not the proper stage for me to do a review. So we're going to save it for Friday. So next week's Walker review will be on Saturdays. And our High School Musical review for next week will be sadly pushed to Sunday. So I apologize for that. I mean, that's kind of been the norm for the last 2 weeks since like just life stuff keeps happening and I have to keep punting that off. I do apologize. This week seems to be back on track, but next week's going to be back off track a little bit. So I apologize. There's nothing I could do on that front because weddings more important than the channel. Oh, yeah, still more important. However, also, we're doing our brand new first impressions, which is basically me talking. It's like the pilot for a review series. We did our first one on Monsters at Work. The first 2 episodes review are up, so please check that out if you want to. It was a lot of fun to do that one. I think it was probably a little bit more of a much more produced, streamlined episode review. So check that out. The more views we get on those, the more we might do a Monsters at Work review series. But that's all TBD. So I make no guarantees on it. But with that being said, again, if you only care about High School Musical, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with the next episode review. Can't wait for that. We're approaching the end. I think we're at the mark. I could safely say that we are wrapping up our High School Musical reviews, I believe, on... damn, I actually have a change of plans for that. Damn, I just because I don't know why I always thought High School Musical was going to end this season was going to end in August for some reason. But my brain's been itching back and forth. I think that we end because this month's been confusing. Like this month's already felt like 3 weeks already. I think we're only in just the first full week of the month, in my opinion. Yeah, we are. So I believe if I'm doing my math correctly, we will be back. No, we're wrapping up literally the weekend where I'm going to go away. So that is a very horrible timing on me, but basically we're still going to run uninterrupted towards the finale. And then the first 2 weeks of August, we're going to do a season 2 review video and a season 3 predictions video. Hopefully if and when the show gets renewed for another season, another go around in the High School Musical landscape, which most likely it will. I mean, it's still one of the launch shows. I still anticipate it will at least get a 3rd season. So that'll be exciting, but that's, I'll recap the plan again when we get closer to the end. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. If you want to see more of us, please subscribe to ActionX on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it helps us get it out there to other members of the Wildcat family who has yet to discover us. It helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much, as well as sharing is always for free here on the internet. Ring that bell for notification when our next HSM review is live, which is normally each and every Saturday mornings. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel, including our brand new Instagram page. That's right, we finally got an Instagram page. I believe I finally pressed the publish button today. So, yeah, check that out. I'm very excited. It's going to be like Twitter. It's a very slow progress. I apologize. I only have so many manpowers in the day to do that, but I apologize. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. So for all you members of the Wildcat family, I'll see y'all next week for the next review. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.